Meeting of the Waushara County Planning and Zoning Committee to order. This meeting will begin with a public hearing. Anyone other than the applicant or their representative wishing to speak must register and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator, Todd, who is at my right hand at this time. Following the hearing, we will conduct our monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the hearing. The applicant and town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decisions. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet on the table at the front of the room. Those of you wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for hearing each application is as following. After each application is read, the applicant, their agent, or a representative will be asked to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the committee. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the committee's field observations and any staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a short rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone up at the front and state their name and direct their comments to the committee. Because of the number of applicants and the variance committee tonight, I am asking that all testimony be kept brief and to the point. The applicant will have 5 minutes to present information on their application other than questions from the committee. Anyone else wishing to speak should limit their testimony to 3 minutes, and they may rebuttal, and any rebuttal by the applicant will also be limited to 3 minutes. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recordings will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The committee has looked at all of the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this committee has 10 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Board of Adjustment. Information and applications are available from the zoning office. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 10-day period. I will now introduce the committee. To my right, Michael Kapp. My back, John Van Amergon. Hope I didn't kill that John. He's a new kid on the block. Patrick King and Jerry Lauer. I am Robert Wadle, the chairman. To my right is Todd Waller, our administrator, and taking minutes is Cindy Rettler, and on microphones is our staff worker, Amy. I didn't think you changed the name. All right. First application we will hear tonight is tabled from the April 15th, 2021 public hearing. Jacob Olson, Berlin, Wisconsin, has made application for a zone change in accordance with sections 58-131 through 138, 58-541, and 58-661 of the Waushara County zoning code from RS20 residential single family to CG general commercial to construct a 54-foot Brock grain bin for agricultural use within the shoreland area. The location: 2 parcels of land approximately 1.81 acres being part of the northeast quarter of the Aurora Plat, lots 88, 89, 90, 91, and 92, section 7, town 18 north, range 13 east, town of Aurora, Willow Creek, Cottonville Avenue. Is the applicant or their representative here?
Mr. Chairman, I do not see Mr. Olson in attendance.
All right.
I would recommend that we just continue on and maybe go to any correspondence that's been received and anybody here. I have nobody registered to speak in favor, to object, or even informational. So maybe we should just read the correspondence, go on to staff's comments, and then, any questions and comments that the board may have.
There is no one here to speak for or against them?
I have nobody here to speak in favor or objecting. Nobody's registered.
Staff comments.
Well, I'm going to go in. I do have a couple letters I'd like to read into the record. The first letter was received on May 19th. It states, I am writing this letter in reference to the zoning change. I live behind the feed mill. I have lived here for 32 years, and I get along with all of the Olson family, and I have done many things for them. So I can't say anything about this because I keep to myself and I don't want to cause any trouble or step on anybody's toes. So I will not be at this meeting. Dan Schmid. Side note, I painted a steel door for Paul Olson just recently to be put on the front office, and it is still hanging in my shop. Second letter I've received is from the DNR. It's dated May 13th, 2021. And this is from Dale Resbeck, the shoreland specialist. It says, Dear committee members, I am writing you to inform Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources comments regarding the Olson Farms property rezoning request that is to be heard before the Waushara County Planning and Zoning Committee on May 20th, 2021. I appreciate that you provided me with the rezoning application materials for this request. I'm providing these comments to you in place of making an appearance at the public hearing in person. Please have these comments delivered to and read before the committee. Olson Farm LLC property. The department understands the following facts. 1. The applicant wishes to rezone parcels totaling 1.81 acres from single-family residential to general commercial. 2. The parcels are located within the shoreland zone and the floodplain zone. Comments. The department notes that if more than 1 acre of land is disturbed by construction for development, a DNR stormwater permit may be needed per NR 216. In addition, the DNR surface water data viewer indicates that wetlands are mapped along the creek and the soil types on the parcels are indicative of potential wetlands being present elsewhere on the parcels. So a wetland delineation may be required by the DNR stormwater program per NR 216 and also may be necessary by the county to be certain that no wetlands are possibly impacted by the development. If additional wetlands are within the development area, a permit may be required from the DNR and the United States Army Corps of Engineers. The wetlands are also subject to the Waushara County Ordinance Shoreland Wetland District provisions located in chapters 58 through 391 through 396. The parcels are located within the shoreland zone, the Waushara County Shoreland Zoning Ordinance, chapter 58-901 through 903 provisions must be followed for any development, including necessary structure setbacks, including from the ordinary high water mark. In addition, there is a height restriction of less than 35 feet within 75 feet of the ordinary high water mark for all structures. The vegetative buffer zone within 35 feet from the ordinary high water mark also must be preserved, although an access view corridor is allowed. The impervious surface standards must be met, and the shoreland ordinance land disturbance provisions found in chapters 58-903 must also be met. The parcels are also located within the floodplain zone, including possibly the floodway and zone AE, and must meet all provisions of the Waushara County floodplain zoning ordinance, chapters 18-61, 18-81 through 84, 18-101 through 103, and 18-121 through 124, including provisions related to the base floodplain elevation for fill within floodplain and fill within the floodway. Sincerely, Dale Resbeck. The last letter I have is dated May 12th from the chairman of the town of Aurora, from CJ Young. States, Dear Zoning Committee, the town of Aurora feels the project that is being proposed by Olson's Farms LLC is not a proper fit for that location for many reasons. The board had concerns about the project before we saw the drawing or plans. Number one, the town's comprehensive plan has the area zoned residential due to the close proximity to the Willow Creek and the surrounding wetland. 2, with the addition of a corn dryer, it will greatly increase the noise, dust, and bees wings, little red stuff that you see floating around every corn dryer, and that was in parentheses, will affect neighboring property values. 3, the road infrastructure is not built to handle the amount of heavy traffic that would be brought in to this confined area. Number 4, something of this scale does not belong in the residential or wetland sensitive area. Number 5, with the size of this facility, the footprint and the size of the parcel, will be very difficult to meet setback requirements and still have decent truck maneuverability. The board would like to note that the Olson Farm has been a great asset to the township in many ways for all the projects that have been done around the Auroraville and the surrounding area. Sincerely, Town of Aurora Chairman C.J. Young. And then with regard to staff's comments, just like for the benefit of those in attendance, I'll give a brief little summary. The applicant, Paul Olson, on behalf of Olson Farms LLC, is requesting a zone change from RS 20 residential single family to CG general commercial to construct a commercial grain bin for agricultural purposes within the shoreland area in the town of Aurora. Since the April public hearing, which resulted in a continuation, staff did receive, and I believe it's in your packets, it was a rudimentary site plan depicting the facility on the property. What I've done is taken this plan and, taken his dimensions and basically came up with a scale. And based upon that, it appears that from edge of edge, in other words, front edge of the scale to the rear edge of the dryer, you would need approximately 85 to 90 feet of clear area. Kyle Kutcher, one of the zoning specialists, and myself went out to the property and we prepared an on-site, and it's also should be in your packets. A drawing that looks like this. And what we did, as you noted, when we were on our on-sites, we had placed flags out on the property depicting the 63-foot setback from Cottonville Avenue, and then the 75-foot setback for the ordinary high water mark from the Willow Creek. And you can see, based upon those dimensions, the largest area being 102, which was very small, then diminishing down to 83 feet, and then all the way down to 53 feet. Physically, based upon the plans that have been presented, they physically cannot accommodate the room that's out there. On Wednesday, April 14th, the committee visited the property at their recent on-site, and concern was raised over the amount of, over maintaining adequate maneuverability for large semis, both on-site and off, as well as the anticipated wear and tear on the small town road, which is comprised primarily of crushed asphalt and road base, and appears to be quite deficient in terms of maintaining even adequate width for two-way travel. If you recall, all of us probably had to do 6-point turns to get out of that driveway. Committee revisited the property, and that was originally back in April, but then we revisited the property to review the request and observe the flags that were placed there. And I believe that kind of reconfirmed your previous concerns that it just wasn't appropriate at that location. Staff's reviewed this proposal and believes that this request, for commercial zoning, it's in keeping with the area, given the fact that you have the mill to the west, you've got some agricultural, mill products to the north, the Schmid property, and that with the large auto detailing center to the far east. However, we raise serious concern over the operation of this scale. Commercial grain bin operations do have significant impacts to neighboring properties and the existing roadway network. These operations typically generate significant semi-traffic, wear and tear on roadways, as well as dust and noise. The site was also very limited in terms of the depth and overall size to accommodate this proposed structures. While the committee will be making a recommendation on this request later in the evening, staff is recommending, denial of the zone change from RS20 to CG, subject to the conditions listed in the report.
That came in a little bit later. Is he part of the Olsons or?
Nope.
Just want to give you a chance if you got here a little late. All right, we'll move on to the next application. Philip and Dorothy Vogt. Wild Rose, Wisconsin, have made an application for a zone change in accordance with sections 58-131 through 138, 58-361, and 58-541 of the Waushara County Zoning Code from OP Park and Recreation to RS20 Residential Single Family within the shoreland area. Location: north portions of the following parcels: lots 9 and 10, certified survey map number 1892, lots 5, 6, 7, and 8, certified survey map number 1891, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, certified survey map number 1890, section 11, town 20 north, range 11 east, town of Springwater, Gilbert Lake, Talaki Trail. Are the applicants or their representatives here? Step forward, please, and tell us your reason for the zone change.
My name is John. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is John Collins. I currently live on my lot on Gilbert Lake. One of the original owners have been there 33 years now. So thank you for hearing the application. And what the application is all about is that we purchased a camp 33 years ago, Camp Talaki, subdivided, have 10 lake lots that we use to build our residences. There's a residence on each one of those 10 lots. But as time goes on and we accumulate things, we wanted to put up a storage building with the contour of the land and the hill and the lake and the high water. The best place to put up a storage building is on the back side of our lot that our residence is on. Well, we came in to get a permit and realized for the first time that the back half of the back portion of our lot is zoned as OP. We don't remember a conversation on requesting that. We don't know why it was done. It came to a surprise to all 10 owners to find out that the single tax parcel that we have has 2 zones on it, the lakeside being residential, the backside being open park. And of the 10 lots that are in the old Camp Talaki area, 2 of them don't have an OP category at all. They're all residential. And the balance of the 8 have a wandering line where Phil Vogt, who's with me tonight, has about 60% of his lot that's residential, 40% OP. I'm about 25% OP. Some people just have a small sliver. So all we're asking is to have full utility of our lake lots and have it rezoned from part OP to be 100% single-family residential.
Few questions that we have to ask for you, if I could find them.
Sure.
Where this property surveys.
Yeah, so I just had my property surveyed.
Okay.
And in the process, he identified the line along the back of the lake lots. And so we know, we have a very good understanding where the lot lines are. Phil had his lot surveyed as well.
So then you're relatively sure you know where the property markers and the lines are?
Yes, I'm very sure I know exactly where the property markers and lines are.
Have you talked to the town of Springwater?
We have
Board?
last Monday, I guess about 9 days ago, we went up in front of Everett and he had no problem with this whatsoever. He indicated he was going to write a letter. Okay. So, and we've also talked to the Lake Association. We should have a letter on file from them as well saying they don't have an issue with what we're doing.
Okay, and you obviously have a army of landowners that are in favor of you. Talk to the other landowners surrounding you, what their thoughts are.
I'm Philip Vogt, and I've been contacted by just west of us, since I have the furthest west lot, and explained to them what we were doing, and they had no objections at all.
So it was listed in the Argus, and I believe a letter went out to at least 10 people on either side of the property.
We always hit everyone within 300 foot of the property.
There may be some people to speak for or against it too. We'll get to that in a minute.
Mhm.
Questions from the committee. We were out there yesterday and met with you and you kind of told us, but this is a public hearing,
Yeah,
so.
no, understood.
This gentleman, John?
No.
Mike, Jerry? Okay, at this time, gentleman can have a seat.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll have a chance for rebuttal if needed, so.
Okay, great.
Have a seat, we'll go through a few other comments and questions and Take a seat. Correspondence.
Okay. I have with me the minutes from May 10th from the town of Springwater, and I'm just going to read the section applicable to the applicant's request. John Collins and Phil Vogt were representing 10 Gilbert Lake owners where there are two different zoning categories for their lake lots, open parks and residential. Zoning will not allow any building on open parks, and it can't be determined where the residential zoning ends and the open parks start. They requested that the board allow them to have a zoning change to make the lake lots all residential so that they can build upon them. Gilbert Lake residences are meeting on May 20th, the Waushara County zoning to change the lots to residential. Motion, and that was to approve and to allow the lots to be zoned. It was carried unanimously. And this is directly from the minutes from May 10th of 2021. I also have a letter from Karen Reynolds, the president of the Gilbert Lake Advancement Association, the Lakes Association. It says, "Dear Todd," and this is May 14th. "Dear Todd, on behalf of the board of directors of the Gilbert Lake Advancement Association, Inc., I am writing regarding the application for a zoning change to the properties on Gilbert Lake on the former Kaptalaki land. We understand that a portion of many of the lake lots is currently zoned OP rather than residential, which prevents these property owners from having storage buildings on their lake lots. We further understand that all 10 property owners of the former Kaptalaki property support this application for zoning change. We understand that the zoning category RS20 permits only one residence on each lot, and the Talaki covenants among the property owners also allow for only one residence on each lot and no residences on the back lots. Board members of the Gilbert Lake Advancement Association have no objection to this application for a zoning change. This does not prevent individual association members or other non-member lake property owners from expressing their own opinions and viewpoints. We believe that this is thoughtfully considered. We thought that this thoughtfully considered application for zoning change will not cause any harm to the lake environment, the other lake property owners, or the public. Please let me know if you have any questions. Sincerely, Karen Reynolds." And I do not have anybody registered to speak in favor, objecting to, or for informational only.
Staff comments.
Okay. As we kind of discussed when we were out in the field, this property is rather unique. In 1988, in June, the county approved a zone change for the Talaki Park and for this subdivision and it created two zoning classifications, OP, Parks and Recreation, and an RS20 residential single family. And it was to establish 10 residential lots within the shoreland area. When I say it was unique in that anytime we divide lots less than 15 acres, those lots are to maintain frontage onto public roadways. So what they did is they created 10 lots adjacent to the water, and then along 23rd, each one of those lots had a corresponding lot that fronted 23rd. And that was a way to kind of get around the zoning, so to speak. And then what my predecessor had done is then established a 500-foot boundary, and there should be, kind of a depiction in your packets. If you look at this, a 500-foot band where it was zoned as residential. The problem with that is it kind of cut the front residential or lake lot, some of these lots literally in half, and some of them only just a small little sliver. If you read their covenants are quite clear. The residential lots are to be used for residential purposes. The back lots, in turn, were to be used for recreational and left wide open. All we're seeking to do, or I should say all the applicants are seeking to do, is allow them full use of their residential lake lots, rezone those to RS20, and leave the back portion OP. As you can see from the exhibits that you have before you, like I say, it's going to be a portion to a very small sliver of a portion of properties that's literally going to go from OP to RS20. I know when we conducted our on-site on Wednesday, yesterday, May 19th, the board or committee, I should say, was very supportive of the request, felt that the zone change was in keeping with the existing land uses and would eliminate confusion over proposed uses on the front lake lots. Staff's reviewed this request and believes the zone change should in no way detrimentally impact surrounding land uses. It will clear up any confusion for placement of future structures. We understand, though, that the committee will be making a formal recommendation on this later in the evening. We are, as staff, recommending approval of the zone change from OP Parks and Recreation to RS20, subject to the conditions you have in your report.
Don't you have anything else to say at this time? Any rebuttal or comments? Would you come up to the mic so it gets recorded, sir?
It's a dilemma 33 years ago when we bought the property, in that we had 1,600 feet on the lake and 160 acres in the back. And we wanted to divide that in a way that we could understand where our lot lines were. So we created two sets of primarily rectangular lots. And as Todd said, through the acceptance of the zoning board, it was a very cooperative process at the time, created two lots that were not contiguous, but were non-divisible. So it worked out for many years. And the back lots, as we call them, are heavily managed through a set of covenants, about a 20-page document, as far as no fires, no cutting down trees, no four-wheeling off the paths, as far as their use, and that's common use for everybody. So we really don't think that there's an application to have OP as part of our lake lots, and we could use that as being a residential designation.
No, we're going to continue here.
That concludes the public hearing. I will call the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Committee to order. Note that all are present. So I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda as printed. Mike, is there a
I'll second.
Second by Jerry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Motion to approve the minutes. You all should have received a copy of those. Questions or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Pat to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jerry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Zoning administrator thing, or I just see that.
Sure. Actually, you're going to go,
Never mind.
there you go.
Unfinished business, none. New business, action on the public hearing applications. First one, would you read the comments, Jerry? Conditions?
Oh, for
Yeah, do you
open,
want to take a motion?
we gotta have a motion
Yeah.
first.
Motion to motion to approve or deny the application?
I'll make a motion to deny the request for Olson Farms.
I'll second it.
Second by Pat. Conditions?
Actually, start with, do we have some reasons?
Okay, reasons?
Then I'll reasons.
Make it to the right page here. The request application, if denied, would not be consistent with the spirit and intent of the zoning code and will be contrary to the public interest because after reviewing the application and considering all related testimony, the application will harm the public and the neighboring land uses. The committee concurs with the concerns expressed by both the town of Aurora and the DNR. An approval would result in additional traffic and compromise public safety. Cumulative impacts can be foreseen. Other alternatives uses of the property exist. The construction does not match the lot and available area. Stormwater problems may be an issue. A harm to water quality is anticipated. The landowner should pursue other locations or plans. Conditions. Therefore, the request application, if denied, the following conditions shall apply. This application shall either pursue other locations more appropriate for the operation of this scale or significantly revise the plans for a much smaller scale operation which matches the property and the area.
Reasons for denial then?
Nope, you've got that, so
You got
now
that.
you can ask
All
for,
right, I will take a roll call vote. Michael? Pat?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
John?
yes.
Myself, yes. Application is denied. Next application for Philip and Dorothy Volk, Wild Rose. Take a motion to approve or deny first.
Make
Mike?
it,
Approve or deny.
Yep, we have to get a motion.
Motion to approve or deny. Jerry,
I'll second.
by Mike, second by Jerry. Jerry, would you read the reasons for approval?
The requested application, if approved, will be consistent with the spirit and intent of the zoning code and will not be contrary to the public interest because after reviewing the application and considering all related testimony, the application, if approved with conditions, will not harm the public or neighboring land uses. There's nobody in opposition. Visibility is good at the driveway locations and the traffic is slow here. There are no public safety issues. The proposal matches the goals of the zone and provides suitable area for residential development. It is up to the town's planning commission and the town board to determine whether this proposal is in compliance with the town's approved land use plan. Possible approval conditions. Therefore, the requested application, if approved, the following conditions shall apply. Development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided at the public hearing. All county codes pertaining to RS-20 residential single family shall apply accordingly. All required setbacks must be complied with and all other codes must be adhered to. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and proper connection made to municipal sewer. Deed restrictions must be included if applicable. Adequate parking must be provided. All driveways shall meet all required codes, including fire and access code requirements to provide for access by emergency vehicles. In addition, the driveway should provide good visibility and a turnaround area to prevent backing onto the road. The applicant will allow agents of Waushara County access to the property to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. The application is now forwarded to the Waushara County Board of Supervisors and the Town Board of Springwater for their consideration. The Town Board is responsible for determining whether this application, if approved, is in compliance with the town's approved land use plan. That's it.
Okay, you've heard the reasons and conditions. I will call a vote. Mike? Jerry?
Yes.
Pat?
yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Application is approved. Next item, view and action on request for extension of land use permits.
We have nothing.
View and possible action on request for minor changes to previously approved public hearing applications.
Nothing else there?
View of next month public hearing applications for time and route planning purposes.
I know we've got several applications in both for. Oh, yes, for the U-Haul dealer. So we've got a couple and that next week or next month, sorry. Yep.
All right, zoning administrator report, including data, permit updates, department activities, and project updates.
Nothing new to report.
Nothing from yesterday. Okay,
Nothing new.
call for a motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who seconded?
No.
Mike and then Pat.
The first one I was on.
Very well.
First one I was on.
But
Hours. Eddie's.
You got it. Thanks, guys. John, you've seen you.
You know, I got a taxi, but I don't have my miles for
Place to go
getting
first.
here and back today. Yeah. Say it's around 30 miles round trip. Next time I'll have it for sure. Yeah, wait for it. What are they giving, about $5 a mile? 56. Yeah, it's 56. Oh, you do? I didn't know that. Oh, that's the big money.
What? Don't spend it all.
Yep, thanks, guys. Get a copy. I don't think you got a copy of the final reports and everything.
Oh,
So this is the finals for all three of them.
yeah, I think that's the same as what I have here, isn't it?
What's that?
It's the same as what you sent me.
Basically, yes. You know, it's the only thing that's different in here is, you know, obviously on-site notes are now provided and things
Okay.
like that. So, well, and you'll see, I think we're gonna get a couple. Okay, well, let's let him make that recommendation. He's gonna make his presentation. What?
Power mic.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I'll talk about that, yes.
It was on because the red light was on while he was
We
talking.
don't have any.
John? Go on. That's the new one out of my packet here. I'll take your marked up one.
Ah, I have a green light.
Yeah. Oh.
They don't. I didn't get
Because I thought they had it
I didn't get the
drawn
memo.
though.
If you would.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
I got it for sure.
You good?
Saw you go by my house a little while ago.
Yep, not too long ago.
Yep.
That was the youngest Erickson boy that was in the car.
Oh, from Melrose?
Yeah.
Oh, no, nope, nope. Yep.
We've taken care of that.
And I don't.
We got to go on TV? Okay. Evening, everybody. We'll get started. I'll call this meeting of the Waushara County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the applications heard by the Planning and Zoning Committee. Please remember to keep your comments brief and relative to the matter at hand. The same time limits will apply to testimony, which is 5 minutes for the applicant. Outside of committee questions and 3 minutes for the other testimony, including any rebuttal by the applicant. Anyone other than the applicant or the representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered. Anyone who has not should do so immediately. Submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator. The board has looked at all of the properties and the record will reflect their observations. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct their monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the public hearing. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information on appeals is available from the Clerk of Court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. I'll now introduce the board. Front row on the far side, John Shirk, John Bentz, and the back row, Larry Tim. Back row here is George Tim, and I'm Kevin Fitzgerald, and you've already met the rest of the staff. Our first hearing tonight, Barbola Funeral Home, Poisippi, Wisconsin, has made application for variance in accordance with sections 58-235, sub 5, sub A, 58-826, sub B, and 58-829 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to exceed maintenance, remodeling, renovation,
and repair of a non-conforming structure to allow construction of a new vestibule, new roof, and overhangs coming to within 3 feet of the public right-of-way, 30 feet required, and to allow 16 parking stalls, 33 required, 8 on-site, and 8 stalls on the street in the community commercial zone. Will the applicant please come forward and tell us a little bit about what you want to do here tonight, please? State your name into the mic and go ahead. Yeah. Okay, I've got some questions to ask you and answer the best as you can. Has there been a recent survey? Yes. You know where the road right away is now? Have you talked to the town? Okay, county and the state about this? Just the town though, right? That's all you, that's the only ones you've conversed with regarding? Okay. During construction of the parking lot, you'll have to deal with erosion and stormwater, correct? Any foundation work going to be done? Okay, the entrance that you're going to build in the front there with the ramp and everything, it's going to be equal to where the front of the building is now? The ramp comes up level, no steps going in anymore? Yeah, we do. Okay. Any other improvements planned at this time? That's what you said when we were there too. Yeah. You're on city sewer there, no septic system, correct? Parking, you're gonna do as best as you can with what you got at the present time. They're gonna be able to drive through the parking lot and then drive out, so they don't have to turn around in the parking lot, okay? when we were out there with you, you really don't have any other options with the old building and as close to the road as it is, do you? Yeah. 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 You build a 2-story ramp or something, you know, like that.
Parking garage.
Yeah. The hardship is the old building close to the road and anything else? Okay. And permits, you've been working with zoning office already, trying to figure out what you will need in the future? And if approval is granted, when would you like to start?
Yesterday.
Okay. Anybody on the committee, any questions?
I saw on the plan, with the parking lot, you're gonna have access both on Mill Street and Liberty Street. And is there gonna be a generalized flow of traffic? So enter on Liberty, exit on Mills, or vice versa? Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Have a seat and I'll give you a rebuttal if you need it.
Okay. Correspondence.
Correspondence.
Okay. County zoning received a letter from the town of Poisippi on May 13th, 2021, stating, "Dear Mr. Waller, on May 10th, the town of Poisippi had their town board meeting and the town board voted to approve the variance for Barbola Funeral Home to exceed maintenance, remodeling, renovation, and repair of a non-conforming structure, to allow construction of a new vestibule, new roof, and overhangs coming to within 3 feet of the public right-of-way, 30 feet being required, and to allow 16 parking stalls, 33 required, 8 on-site and 8 stalls on the street in the community commercial area. Any further questions, feel free to contact me. Have a good day. Sincerely, Sue Albright, the clerk." That's all I have in terms of correspondence. I do have one registrant wishing to speak in favor, Carol Herman.
Good evening.
I don't,
Okay. Thank you for your time. That all you have in favor? Anybody objecting?
nope, I have
Okay.
nobody else registered.
Staff comments.
Okay. As stated in the report that you have before you, the applicant David Barbola is requesting a variance to exceed maintenance, remodeling, renovation, and repair of a non-conforming structure to allow construction of a new vestibule, new roof, and overhangs coming to within 3 feet of the public right-of-way, and to allow 16 parking stalls, 8 stalls on site, 8 stalls on the street in the CC Community Commercial Zone in the town of Poisippi. Existing building predates county zoning, so we don't really have a lot of records on it. From talking, with Mr. Barbola, this has been functioning as a funeral parlor for decades. It has only recently been bought by the applicant, who's now the sole owner and operator of the property, wishing to do significant upgrades. Should be noted that with regard to the vestibule, even though it's projecting out into the right-of-way, this is not unfamiliar to us. If you recall, last year, the county approved a similar improvement, a front entryway overhang for the Sacred Heart Church. At that time, that setback for the Sacred Heart was to be about 4 foot 7 inch, 4 inch, 4 feet 7 inches from Liberty Street. The board visited the property at the recent onsite on Monday, May 17th, and were all generally supportive of the variance request. They felt the building upgrades would be a welcome improvement to the town and would actually facilitate compliance with the ADA building requirements. The only comment the board had was that they would like to see the applicant attempt to rework the north parking area at the time of permit submittal so as to possibly pick up some more on-site parking stalls. Staff's reviewed this request and finds the improvements in keeping with the character of the downtown and should not obstruct vehicular traffic along Liberty Street, as the entryway addition will not stick out any further into the visual triangle than that of the existing building. We also believe the upgrades to be a welcome addition to the town. While the board will be making a formal recommendation on this request later in the evening, staff's recommending approval of the variance to exceed maintenance and repair and remodeling. Also the variance to the parking to allow only 16 parking stalls, subject to the conditions listed in your staff report.
Thank you, Todd. Anybody else? Any rebuttal necessary? David? Thank you for meeting with us the other day. Thank you for submitting the nice plans. That'll be it for this one, and we'll start with the next one. You're free to go if you want, or you want to. Our second variance tonight, tabled from the April 15th, 2021 public hearing. Paul and Vicky Sigorski, Bradenton, Florida, have made application for a variance in accordance with sections 58-235 sub B sub 5 and 58-542 sub C sub 2 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct an approximate 6-foot by 14-foot, one-story addition on a crawl space, a 12 by 20-foot patio, a 20-foot by 12-foot deck, and a 20-foot by 18-foot on-story addition, which will attach an existing non-conforming dwelling, non-conforming due to existing side lot setback, to an existing 32 by 36 detached garage with living area that is located 8 feet from the westerly side lot line. Total improvements, including addition of garage, to exceed 25% of the footprint of the existing non-conforming structure in the RS20 residential single-family zone within the shoreland area. Location, a parcel of land known as Lot 25 and 26 of Shanahan Resort, Section 29, T19N, R11E, Town of Mount Morris, Porter's Lake, address N3293 Shanahan Lane. Would Paul please come to the microphone?
Gentlemen,
Paul,
I want to
thank you for meeting with us, and tell us what you want to do now with it. It's changed a little bit, right?
Yes, that was the original application that we
Yep.
tabled and brought in for this month. I know you gentlemen were out there the other day, so we sort of saw the scope of the project we're trying to do. Basically on our home, basically adding a 14 by 28 foot addition. But with that, also making our garage come into the county's conformity with capping off and removing some items from the garage area. So that's basically the what we're looking at as far as the variance. So yeah, the stuff you read, that was pretty much the original one that the county and I had put together. And so this is all the new information, is what you came out there the other day and we looked at. So I don't know if Todd goes through the scope of that, or if you need any more. I know we discussed it the other day when you're out there, but if there's more things you need to know about the scope of the project, or.
I have some questions for you.
Sure.
Then the board might have some questions for you. Have you had a recent survey?
No,
When was the last one? Do you know?
I don't. I believe probably in 99 when they.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know where the lot lines are? You showed us one stake on the back corner when we were there the other day, right?
Yeah.
Have you talked to the neighbors in town about this?
Yes. One of my neighbors is here, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Crawl space, what type of foundation is it going to be on?
slab, the new addition.
How far above existing grade will the first floor elevation be, and how much filling or grading will be done?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly as far as fill and stuff, but we're not going up or anything. We're just gonna, that where that mudroom was that you saw, it'll basically extend from there. So obviously there'll probably be a little bit of fill.
But pretty level to where
Level to
the
exactly
back addition to the house, the old cottage, it's
Yeah.
going to be pretty level to that.
exactly.
Okay. What's the finish height going to be?
On the plans, I believe just slightly higher than what the mudroom is, and not quite sure if that's indicated on this. 15 feet.
Okay. How would you deal with erosion and stormwater runoff during construction?
Well, I guess I'm leaving it to sort of my architect and builder as far as making sure that there's, everything is,
Silt fence if necessary and that kind of thing?
oh, absolutely. Whatever to make it conform to whatever standards you guys obviously need.
Any other improvements planned?
No, that's pretty much.
Besides the setback for the addition, will all other setbacks be met?
Yes, yeah. Everything on this is all conforming.
The septic system is big enough to handle the addition?
Yes.
And you have had talk about removing non-conforming structures, correct? Have you considered any other options than you did earlier with your first application and changed it to this, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you did look at maybe adding on to the side, but it doesn't fit the floor pan and getting in the house, is that correct?
Well, I think with attaching it, that was the original plan, and sort of when Amy was still here, she sort of leaned us in that direction. And I think what happened is because they were attached, then all of a sudden we had a huge huge area instead of having the original house and just having an addition on that and having the garage separate. After we combined them, it would make it like 100% addition, which wasn't going to work, I guess. So we sort of got taken down that road, but it didn't work out.
Okay.
So then we came up with, that's why we tabled it, because we knew it wasn't going to go through. And then so we went with this, and Todd's been fantastic. We work with him directly on these plans as far as, hey, just tell us what we need to do. And so we sort of worked this up, and this is the plan that was, like I said, we want to make sure all the easements are right, make sure everything's all set with the easements for the septic and everything else. And this literally is perfectly located as far as the way they put this on there. So it's worked out as good as far as the plans go.
Getting back to the question of the septic system, we know that the addition is adequate for the addition with what you have there now, but there's a problem with that there was a hookup to the garage, so the septic system will have to be looked at, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. The hardships for this request are old cottage too close to the lot line.
Yeah, too close to lot line. Obviously, the thing was built in, the original one's built in 56. So everybody up there has got the same situation. And obviously it's a small place to begin with. So obviously an increase larger than what normally takes place is needed, because obviously the stuff we're taking out of the garage will be moved into the new addition. And so it'll suit our needs, and it's about as large as we can go on that lot. That's about it. So.
Yeah, and you designed this new addition to be far enough away from the roadways, so you don't have the problem with a setback there either.
Yeah, no
correct?
setbacks with the road, with the septic, and as well as the side lot lines. And well, the one side's no problem, but of course our other neighbor, we're conforming to all that. So,
What permits do you think you'll need to start construction here?
Talking to Todd, it sounded like we're going to need permits to get the garage from the original size that was indicated back in '99 to make sure that's conforming. And so she said there was a couple things we need to do for that. And then obviously the building permit to start construction. We've got a unusual situation where we actually have a builder we can get and get this thing rolling. So we're trying to do that so we can get this thing moving. I mean, nowadays trying to get a builder, most of these guys are into next year, and we'd love to get it done as soon as possible and get
That
this
was,
up.
that was going to be
before.
my next question. If approval would be granted, when you start building?
We'll start.
When we were on site, you said August, but it sounds like it might have changed a little.
Well,
find a builder.
August is still probably the go-to time, but everything else lined up, and like obviously there's going to be concrete work and everything else, and obviously that can be all done ahead of time so that everybody's ready to hit the road running in August. And I don't think it'll take too much time. I mean, the builder's here; he could probably give you a better idea, but we're going to try to do it sooner than later. We don't want this to drag on. This has been going on. This all started like a year ago, right before COVID hit, and so it's been a kind of a long and arduous ride. But like I said, Todd's been great. Like these last plans, and you gentlemen coming out and taking a nice look at the place. I think you'll agree that this thing is going to look very nice. It doesn't impede anything with the lake. Our neighbors are fine with it. I think it'd be a nice addition to the Porter's Lake.
That's all the questions I have now for the committee. John?
No,
Larry?
Answered them all yesterday. or
Okay.
Monday.
Yeah,
Have a seat.
great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Correspondence.
I have no correspondence, and I have one registrant wishing to speak in favor, Raymond Hanson.
Come on up. State your name for the record into the microphone.
Yeah, my name is Raymond Hanson. Many people call me Skip. My permanent residence is at N3299 Shanahan Lane. My property abuts the Zagorski's property on their north line.
Looking at the lake, you're to the right of him then?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. Yes. As Paul had given me a copy of their new plans, and I'm just, as his next door neighbor, I'm going to see it. And I have no objection to his new plans. I'm particularly pleased that they were able to kind of work it out so that the new addition will not connect to the garage. So they now have a clear space to the lake. So in the event they ever have to get a large mechanical vehicle back there, dig a new well, or if there's some tree problems, there's a clear path to go through there. They couldn't get through on the north side of their property because it would have to go over my septic system, and they couldn't get through on the south side of their property. So I support what they're trying to do, and I hope you gentlemen can support their proposal as well.
Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Any objections?
Nope, I have none other.
Staff comments.
Okay, as stated in the report you have before you, the applicants Paul and Vicky Zagorski are requesting a variance to construct an approximate 14 by 28 foot, one-story addition on a slab onto an existing non-conforming dwelling, non-conforming due to the existing side lot setback of only 10 feet, when 15 feet is normally required, to exceed 25% of the footprint of the existing non-conforming structure in an RS20 residential single-family zone within the shoreland area. This property has had a long and somewhat controversial history with the county. While the original home and the sanitary system predate county zoning, numerous activities have occurred on this property since 1999, some of which legal, some of which not exactly legal. And I'm not going to go into and read everything verbatim in here, but basically there has been over the years an unapproved expansion onto the garage. There's been a conversion of that space into one of which is now a living quarters. And we've had an unapproved connection of the sanitary system to the existing system, which services the house. Originally, the applicant had submitted a drawing, as we've all heard, where he's connecting the garage to the home. That was in an attempt to meet the UDC dwelling requirements. I think based upon the comments that he had received from staff prior to the public hearing, the applicant had requested that be tabled so that he could look at other alternatives. I met with the applicants as well as their architect and builder, and we looked at a number of different options in that, which resulted in basically building off solely off the south side of the building. As we see, and they're now wishing to construct a one-story addition, which is a master bedroom, bath, and a small entryway vestibule, which is a bump off of the south side of the house. I'd like to just point out that the applicant has done what I would consider to be a modest improvement, even though he's exceeding the 25%, because we do have to take into consideration there was not a variance, but an improvement that cut into that 25% back in 2014, where they had, with the mudroom, had eaten up 168 square feet of the 228 square foot allowed. This additional 442 square foot is going to put them at about 67% in terms of the maximum coverage allowed. But keep in mind, at 1,300 square foot, still a pretty modest size house. Board visited the property on Monday, May 17th, and we looked at, the now revised drawings and the amended variance request, and the board was generally supportive of the new addition. However, the board raised very serious concern over the continuance of the nonconformity or the illegal occupancy of the garage. They wanted to be assured that prior to any new construction, that the garage be brought back into compliance with an accessory structure. They also wanted to see a new plumbing permit, that it was acquired for the connection of the garage to the existing sanitary system. And they also wanted to see an after-the-fact land use permit to make sure that that was obtained for the non-permitted expansion of the garage. As I've stated, staff's worked very closely with the applicant over the last couple of months in an attempt to meet future construction needs while also being sensitive to any and all variance requests. I would like to point out, and it should be noted, that with regard to the garage, there are conditions placed, and I will state those in just a few minutes, to ensure that compliance for that garage, that we place those in any notice of decision. And while the board will be making a formal decision on this request later in the evening, staff is recommending approval of the variance as stated. I would like to point out the 3 specific conditions that we have discussed on site, and I've also discussed with the applicant. And I'd like to point out specifically item number 5 is that prior to the issuance of a building permit and land use permit, the applicant shall apply for and receive an after-the-fact land use permit for the 8-foot by 36-foot garage addition located at the north side of the garage. Upon said land use permit, the applicant shall clearly illustrate the size and use of each room in the garage, outside of personal storage and use as a workshop, overflow sleeping, lounging, or even occasional habitability shall be strictly prohibited. Item number 6, prior to the issuance of a building permit and land use permit, the applicant shall apply for and receive a plumbing reconnect permit for the connection of the garage fixtures and drains to the main system. And then number 7, prior to the issuance of a building and land use permit, the applicant shall remove the soaking tub, existing shower enclosure, vanity and bathroom sink, the fireplace, the sliding glass doors, and any other appurtenance typically associated with living. All drain lines, water lines, and/or exhaust lines shall be removed and properly capped and sealed, and staff will verify all renovation work. With that, I have no other comments.
Rebuttal, would you like to come up for anything else? Come on up.
Things that Todd mentioned, absolutely will take care of. The one thing I just was asking for a little bit of leeway, the physical removing of the tub, the sink, the shower, that's going to be quite a project, but absolutely we won't use it. We can have Lear cap off everything, take out spouts, do whatever. Fireplace can be, disconnected. Obviously it's summer's coming up, so we're not going to need the fireplace, but because those items are going to be moved into the house. So as they're constructing the new thing, then they can take it out, move it in, and then I'll worry about obviously fixing up the walls and floor, because I know it's a small little room of those things are on. I don't know if you were in there, but it's going to take ceiling, floors, walls, and it'll be a complete mess. This way I'll have one mess. They'll have the new thing going on. They can take the appliances out and then move them into the new building. I just really ask for some leeway on that. Obviously, we're not going to use it. We get it. No beds, no sleeping, no whatever. We're
There
not
is
gonna-
other option. You could rent a pod to store it all in so that you could meet the requirements that have been stated tonight.
Well,
I
yeah,
guess what you're saying is you're gonna render them non-usable.
absolutely non-usable. I'll have Lear, I mean, he'll state whatever you need. He'll cap off everything.
And then you're just gonna store them in there.
Just keep them there until,
Totally.
yeah, when the new construction goes in, then pull them. And then it'll be like a work in progress, one thing. They'll be building a new thing. And while they're doing that, then they can work on the other. I mean, that would be for us, the easiest way to go about it. Obviously, we're not using this thing and the bedrooms and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, we get the point. None of that's going to take place. And oh, yeah, the other thing too, I know the address, Bradenton, Florida, a lot of times it's like, hey, got some Floridians up here. This home has been in a family for like 62 years. My wife's here full time because of business. I have also an address in Florida, which of course always hooks up for some reason because it's my name maybe. But you know, so my wife's here on a full-time basis. And so obviously, and working with you all, you guys have been great so far. Obviously, we're not going anywhere and we're not going to use this thing. Todd can come out anytime. You can all come out anytime. And, you know,
So you want your address changed to?
Shanahan.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but rather for zoning.
for zoning,
your
well, yeah.
contact address
Yeah, so
should
at
be
least
yours.
it's like local, like we're not just some Floridians that got a place up here and,
Right.
and part-time
Oh.
type of thing. It's been a family since
don't think
1960.
Amy just clarified it. She says contact the treasurer's office
Okay.
and just change.
They want
Yeah,
this
change
address
the-
changed.
Oh, I think
We can do that. Yeah,
Paul, that's no problem.
Paul, we can change the address.
Okay.
Yep.
My question is, I'm confused on the sinks and the tub
Okay.
and why you can't move those. But as you continued on, I got the idea that you were going to move them after you got construction of the house completed.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Sort of, yeah, during construction.
Oh, so they will be moved out from where they
Oh,
are.
I'll move the stuff out. I'm hoping not to have to remove all this stuff and then. I'm
They're gonna be
waiting
repurposed in the new.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And so where they're at right now, they don't take any room. I don't have to store them anywhere. They stay nice and neat
Yeah.
and
My
nicey.
only question was, and that's where I got confused, were they gonna stay there just because they were hard to move? Or were they gonna stay there until you could move them
Could
into the new structure?
could move them into the new structure and then we'll
Okay.
finish up. all
Everything
that.
will be disconnected.
Yeah.
I'll
Is
have,
that the
yeah,
way-
absolutely. I'll get whatever you need from our plumber and the fellow with the Zilgris or my air conditioning guy with the fireplace. He can disconnect that as well.
How big is your neighbor's garage?
Pardon me?
How big is your neighbor's garage?
It's
Rent a little space for.
He's
I know.
shaking his head. no.
Yeah.
He's shaking his head. no.
Yeah, he's here. It's like, okay. So, but,
All right.
Todd, is that the way you understood it, that the tub and the other things could stay there? And I'm getting confused because I've heard.
Well, and that, I mean, typically what we do and that, is the fixtures literally get removed from the room. Everything is capped, sealed, and, lines disconnected. That's typical. However, in this instance, they are looking at wanting to relocate. And Amy, please chime in, but I mean, right. Right.
Hard to follow up on if they
Right.
spending.
well, like I said, we're looking to get this done. We want to get this thing built in August. So, we're not hoping that it's going to take 2 years to get this thing built. So we want to do this in August.
Right.
to me if we're talking.
Right.
I'm just afraid that this is gonna drag out. I guess we're gonna say, well, gee, let's not.
Well, this property's had a bad history to begin with, so I don't know that any leeway should
We
be
could-
expected.
We
from
could
the
tie,
committee.
we could do prior to the issuance of a building permit, land use permit, and or within 6 months of the date of, or 3 months, whatever you guys decide, whichever comes first. I know that they're antsy to get going here on a building permit, but Amy brings up a good point. You know, all of a sudden now with COVID and everything being delayed with construction, we could be looking at a year and a half. I don't know what the builder's situation is. Materials, you know, you have no idea what material costs are and material availability.
He's already under order not to use the garage, right?
Correct.
The backside, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, I think.
Right.
Tied to.
See.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll turn. Next one. Ryan Seats, Chicago, Illinois, has made application for a variance in accordance with sections 58-542 sub B and 58-826 sub B of Waushara County zoning code to construct a 35-foot by 34-foot new single-family dwelling coming within 50 feet of the center line of County Road GG, road average of 60 feet, and to exceed the 35-foot height limit, proposed height from grade to peak to be 44 feet in the RS residential single-family zone within the shoreland area. Location of parcel of land known as Lot 1, CSM number 1336, Section 12, T19N R8E, Town of Hancock, Fish Lake, address West 12299, County Road GG. Is Ryan here?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there he is.
I'm online.
You can see us, but we can't see you. We can see your name on the screen.
Oh man, let me see if I can get the video. Oh boy, it's dark in here. Can you guys see me somewhere?
We don't need, we just,
You're okay.
There you are.
All right.
The same guy we met with on Monday.
On Monday, yes. Evening, everybody. This is Ryan Seitz again. I'll keep it quick. Yes, it's a 10-foot variance from a property that I own. We bought it last February 2020. When we did a topography survey this spring, there's currently 3 non-conforming structures on the property built in the 80s. There's 2 cottages and a boathouse that used to be, I think, a shed, and then the lake made it a boathouse, essentially. We are proposing to demo all of those to build one conforming structure in the center of that, essentially. It meets all of the lot lines on the sides, and then it also meets the ordinary high water mark on the lake side as well. So we're only requesting for the variance on the north side, which is the county road, 60-foot setback. So if it was approved, the foundation would be a concrete slab with a walkout basement. We'd be putting in a new well and new septic. We walked the site on Monday, and after talking with Todd a bit, we were able to reconfigure the roof to make it overall height of less than 35 feet. So we're not applying for a variance at all for the height, just the setback from the road.
So you're amending your application to not
Correct.
exceed the 35 feet, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As far as construction goes, like we all mentioned earlier today, building costs, getting a builder on board, ideally would be this fall, but if it ends up being next spring, it's next spring. And we get all necessary permits, demo permits for raising the buildings, all necessary silt fencing for the lake as well. As far as hardships go and unique property limitations, again, Fish Lake is at its highest levels, probably in memory. So the lake has really pushed our property to the north, which is why we're kind of forced to build so far up against the road. And then as far as public interest and neighbors, so our neighbors seem to be okay with it. Our neighbor on the west is okay with it, Mr. Jared Katzner. And then he's actually the former owner as well of the property. And then the owner on our east, we have not seen because they're only there every so often, so we've not talked to them about that. And then as far as public interest goes, so we currently have 2 buildings that are only about 15 feet from the right-of-way right now on the road. So those would be demolished, and we actually increase the right-of-way for the pedestrians to about 30 feet instead of the current 15. So we give them more room to walk, so they're not as close to the cars and traffic and trucks that they currently have to walk past to cross by our house, because the north side is all forested. So I try to answer most of the questions you guys asked previously in the last couple of variance questions. So that is
Okay,
it.
I got some for you.
Sure.
You had a recent survey there, correct?
Yes. This spring.
We all know where the roadway is there now, right? The right of way?
Yep. Yep.
You talked to the town?
I did not talk to the town, just my neighbors.
Okay. With the steep slope there, how are you gonna deal with erosion and stormwater runoff?
We would look to the local builders, support any sort of local county for their advice and feedback.
Okay. Poured foundation, block foundation, how are you gonna do it?
Probably cast in place concrete slab would be the thought.
Okay. Finish height will be less than 35 feet now, correct?
Correct, yes.
Any other improvements planned besides the house?
That would be it. No parking lot or no garage, no,
Okay.
just a single foundation, single building.
The only setback that won't be met is the highway, right?
Correct, by 10 feet.
You said the septic system's coming out when we were there on Monday. You're gonna
Yep.
redo that?
Redo that and the well as well. The well collapsed this spring, so.
When we were there, we had concern, the committee had concern about the parking. And, backing onto that highway, is there any way else you can do anything there as far as parallel park or, park and then?
We
park
could definitely
side?
do something. Yeah, there's currently one asphalt slab right now that's poured that'll hold 2 cars, but we can, whatever you guys recommend, we're definitely open to doing
You'll
whatever
have
you guys
more room,
recommend.
the buildings will be farther away. so you
Exactly.
might have a little more room there, the park. you know.
Yep. Yes,
We
that'll
always
be
worry
nice
about
to.
the safety of backing on a highway, especially with that little bend in the road there coming from the
You
west.
miss that house a lot, yep. We're definitely
Um,
willing to work with you guys for sure.
You don't have many other options there than what you proposed, correct?
Yes.
That's about it?
That's about it.
And the hardship, you said was
Was
high
the
water.
site, the
And what
high
else?
water. That would be the biggest thing, and then also, yeah, the lake is the hardest thing. Also, non-conforming structure too, so the property really is narrow. Once the lake took away probably half the acreage of the property.
Permits?
Anything necessary, we'll work with demo permits too, to get all the buildings raised safely, especially the boathouse, it's in the water right now too, so we'll work to get that all figured out.
And you said spring building, because everybody's
Yeah.
backed up?
Pretty much, yeah. So ideally in the fall before winter, but if we can't get that done, then we'll start up in the spring.
That's all I have. Committee?
Are you still going to be in A-frame mode, just not as
That
high?
would be the thought. Yeah, if we change the pitch to an 1812, we were able to get it under 35 feet, even with the walkout basement.
Great.
John, Larry?
Oh, now that my questions were on the height, Ryan, but those have been answered, so.
Yep.
I have no questions.
Larry, anything?
Yes, I'm looking at the certified survey map, and I see 4 buildings showing on that map.
Those are all the
Which one is the boathouse that's underwater?
So that one, they're all red. Is that correct?
It would be the one closest to the lake.
The red ones are all
The larger
existing.
rectangle?
Yeah.
The larger rectangle?
The square in the middle is the one that's proposed. It would, and again, with the impervious surfaces, it's pretty much a wash.
This is all underwater, this part?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
We have not actually been in it yet.
Any other committee? George, anything?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Stay there. We got, anybody registered?
I have no correspondence and nobody registered to speak in favor, objecting, or against.
Staff comments?
Okay, obviously now we're going to modify the request made by the applicant. Applicant Ryan Seitz is requesting a variance to construct a 35 by 34 new single-family dwelling coming to within 50 feet of the center line of County Road GG, the road average being 60 feet, in an RS20 residential single-family zone in the town of Hancock. Seitz has met with Rick Ertl, our zoning specialist, back in March of this year to inquire about a new home and ascertain all county setback requirements. Depending upon which survey you used, you could see that the existing homes are either in or very close to the right-of-way limits of County Road GG. Zoning established an average setback of 52 feet from the approximate ordinary high water mark of Fish Lake, and an average setback of 60 feet from the center line of County Road GG. Obviously, that then established kind of a building area. I'd like to point out Fish Lake's water level right now is 36 inches over 2018 levels. 2018 levels were 12 inches over 2017 levels. So obviously those numbers, and that just over the years have just been continuing to rise. Obviously the homeowner and Rick, we kind of encourage the homeowner to come back and seek a variance from the roadway, pushing the home as far away from the water as possible, but yet maintaining as much distance away from the roadway as possible. The board visited the property at the recent onsite on Monday, May 17th, and were generally supportive of the variance request to allow a reduced setback to County Road GG. They agreed that moving the home back toward the street would eliminate future building issues. They also felt that by removing the existing buildings in or near the roadway would definitely be an improvement, a safety enhancement along GG. Staff has reviewed this request and believes the applicants have gone to great lengths in working with staff to identify a location that will minimize future building issues while improving a detrimental situation along County Road GG. As and a building height, I'm going to take that out. Staff in that understands that this will be reviewed by the board and a formal recommendation will be made. Staff is, however, recommending approval of the variance to construct a 34 by 35 foot new single-family dwelling coming to within 50 feet of the center line of County Road GG, subject to the conditions listed in the report. I would like to point out just one item is that, and something we would appreciate the applicant working with us on, is number 9, at the time of the building permit and land use permit, that the applicant investigate designing an alternate parking arrangement on this parcel so as to minimize backing out onto the roadway to improve safety. And with that, we have no other comments.
Okay. That'll conclude the public hearing. We'll go right into our board meeting. I'll call the Board of Adjustments to order. The roll call, show everybody here. I need a motion for approval of the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Approval of the minutes from the prior meeting.
I will go approve. I'll second it.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. New business action on the public hearings. The first one we'll take is the Barbarola property at West 229 Liberty Street, Town of Poisippi.
I'll make a motion to approve that application.
We have a motion approved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. And the reasons, George?
If approved, the possible, or the reasons would be that an unnecessary hardship is present and the current code requirements would be unnecessarily burdensome and prevent the applicant from using the property for a permitted use because very few alternatives exist. Future improvements and upgrades to the building would not be possible on this property without a variance approval. The circumstances are beyond the control of the applicant and are unique to the property, not the applicant. The lot predates zoning regulations and the construction matches the lot and available area. Also, the hardship is unreasonably burdensome and the limitation setbacks are due to unique physical features or limitations of the property are not circumstances to the application or to the applicant. And those are as follows. Very little or buildable or no buildable area exists. The lot is very narrow. The lot depth is very shallow. The setbacks overlap, and overall small lot size. And the variance will not harm public interest or neighboring land uses and damage the intent of the zoning codes because visibility is good at the driveway location, traffic is light, traffic is slow, a turnaround or drive-through is proposed. This would make a bad situation better. The proposed use would not harm public zoning code or neighboring land uses if conditions are followed. A literal enforcement of the zoning code would be unnecessarily burdensome. And then if approved, the conditions would be as follows. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided at the public hearing. The first floor elevation and filling and grading shall be done in accordance with the site plan and additional information provided at the public hearing. All other required setbacks must be complied with. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary or proper connection to municipal sewer. Prior to the issuance of the land development and building permits, the applicant shall contact the county building inspector to comply with their recommendations and the adopted building code, including adequate sanitary facilities. If it is determined that the commercial building codes apply, all commercial plans, building, HVAC, etc., shall be submitted and approved within 6 months of the date of the notice of decision. At the time of the building permit and land use permit, the applicant should attempt to rework the north parking lot so as to pick up additional on-site parking stalls. All code requirements must be complied with. It is the responsibility of the builder and the landowner to protect the neighboring lots, lake, road during construction. Standard erosion control plans must be in place prior to construction starting. Any future construction cannot occur without first obtaining a variance. The driveway shall meet all code specifications and shall provide a suitable turnaround or drive-through to prevent backing onto the road. The applicant will allow agents of the Waushara County access to the property to ensure compliance with the terms of this decision, Waushara County codes, and state and federal laws. The landowner is responsible to maintain good visibility at the driveway entrance. The landowner is responsible for determining lot lines and required setbacks, and the building shall not exceed a maximum height of 35 feet.
Okay. On number 11, George happened to mention that the driveway shall meet all code specifications, shall provide suitable turnaround or a drive-through.
Yes.
And I think that we should add that into there.
He's got that in both of them. He had in C2, a turnaround is proposed or the drive-through.
Yeah.
So he's added drive-through in C4 and D10,
Okay, thank you.
Right.
D11, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was discussed in the beginning as well, that there would be a flow of traffic through.
You've got the motion and a second, and you've heard the reasons. We'll take a roll call vote. John Shirk?
Yes.
John Benz?
Yes.
Larry Tim?
Yes.
Yes.
George Peterman? Chairman votes yes. 5 yes. Motion passed. Happy building. Good luck. It'll be a nice addition to the community.
He's gone.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take up the second one. When I can find my paperwork, here it is. Paul and Vicky Sikorsky, North 3293 Shanahan Lane.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move for approval.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Shirk second, and the reasons, Mr. Benz.
Not unnecessary hardship is present, and the current code requirements would be unnecessarily burdensome and prevent the applicant from using the property for permitted use, because very few alternatives exist. The circumstances are beyond the control of the applicant, are unique to the property, not the applicant, and the lot predates zoning regulations. The hardship, reasonable, burdensome limitation of setbacks is due to the unique physical features or limitations of the property, not the circumstances of the applicants as follows. Very little or no buildable area exists. Existing building placement makes it very difficult for any expansion capabilities. And the variance will not harm the public interest or neighboring land uses. or damage the intent of the zoning code because the visibility is good at the driveway location. Traffic is very light. Traffic is slow there. Good vegetation already exists. The proposed use will not harm the public zoning code or neighboring land uses if conditions are followed. A literal enforcement of the zoning code would be unnecessarily burdensome. There has been no testimony in opposition. So possible approval conditions. Therefore, the requested variance, if approved, the following conditions shall apply. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided tonight at the hearing. The first floor elevation and filling and grading shall be done in accordance with the site plan and additional information provided tonight. All other required setbacks must be complied with. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary. Prior to the issuance of a building permit and land use permit, the applicant shall apply for and receive an after the fact land use permit for the 8x36 garage addition located at the north side of the garage. Upon said land use permit, the applicant shall clearly illustrate the size and use of each room in the garage outside of personal storage and use as a workshop. Overflow, sleeping, lounging, or even occasional habitability shall be strictly prohibited. Prior to the issuance of a building permit and land use permit, the applicant shall apply for and receive a plumbing reconnect permit for the connection of the garage fixtures, drains to the main sanitary system. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the land use permit, the applicant shall remove the soaking tub, the existing shower enclosure, vanity, bathroom sink, fireplace, sliding glass doors, and any other appurtenance typically associated with living. All drain lines, water lines, and/or exhaust lines shall be removed and properly kept, sealed off, and staff will verify all renovation work. All code requirements must be complied with. It's the responsibility of the builder and landowner to protect the neighboring lots, lake, and road use during construction. Standard erosion control must be placed prior to construction starting. Any future construction cannot occur without first obtaining a variance. The driveway shall meet all code specifications. You can cross off the rest of the turnaround. The applicant will allow agents of Waushara County access to the property to ensure compliance with the terms of this decision, Waushara County codes and state and federal laws also. The landowner is responsible to maintain good visibility of the driveway. The landowner is responsible for determining lot lines and required setbacks, and the building shall not exceed a maximum height of 35 feet.
Did we want to add a timeline?
Not particularly. It's going to have to get all these. You can if you want.
Well, the timeline would be arbitrary.
Yep.
And I just have trouble with an arbitrary timeline.
Because you never know when construction's going to
Okay.
be delayed because of.
Yeah. My concern is the fixtures that have to be removed, the tub, and the other fixtures staying in place. But if there's an on-site inspection that shows that the plumber has completely eliminated the possibility of those being used, then it's acceptable.
Yeah, I would agree with John on that. I have no problems with Paul's request where he says everything's going to be non-usable that needs to be removed, held basically in place in that garage area, in that storage area for repurposing back in the new building once that's set to go there. You know, we're already telling him he can't use those facilities in that place for habitation. And as long as everything's capped and it's just sort of waiting, you know, for move over to the new construction, I have no problems with it staying where it's at.
Can we get, go ahead, Todd.
I was just going to say, though, do we want to put a date on those three conditions? And the reason for that is if construction's delayed, you look at the potential that that they could be occupying, for another year, that space. I mean, it would be we could tie it to, if they're looking at construction here by August, say 3 months, that, prior to the issuance of those permits and or within 3 months of the date of the notice of decision, that those be adhered to.
I'm a little leery about not removing the items from the building itself. Knowing the history of this particular property, where an awful lot of things were done without permits. I'd hate to see us get schnookered again, as the saying goes.
Well,
So-
Larry has a question or a comment.
I don't think it's illegal in our code to store plumbing fixtures or beds or anything like that
that's what I was going
in a garage.
Correct.
And so by storing them there, I don't think he's violating any codes.
And that's,
We just gotta make sure that they're not hooked up.
Right.
As soon
Yeah,
as
they just
possible.
can't be hooked up.
right. And that's all he's asking. He's
Right.
just asking that they're not hooked up, they're not usable. We're just going to keep them there. We're going to move them over once they're ready to be moved over. And to Larry's point, I was just going to say, I don't want to overstep any boundaries here.
Mhm.
Whatever anybody can store in a storage area, Paul and his wife should be able to store in a storage area as
Can
well.
we do this so simply as to have them contact the plumber and say, we need these capped now, and then have the plumber,
Sure.
let zoning know in writing,
Typically, the homeowner would contact us.
okay, and say, okay, that's done. And if you want to come inspect it, you can, or you can contact the plumber, but everything is capped and it's not usable.
So if somebody wants to make an addition to motion, they're welcome to do that.
I don't think any addition is necessary.
Okay.
Well,
I
number
think it's
seven,
already covered.
number 7 calls for the removal.
Yep. So if you
Well,
want to,
what does removal mean? Does it removal from use? Or
Well, that, I
physically
think
removed?
that was the original intent.
Yeah, you could just replace remove with disconnect.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't do the addition? What if he never does the addition?
Yeah.
What would you like to do, John? It's your motion.
I'd like to leave it the way it is. If somebody wants to amend it, that's up to them.
You have to take a vote though on that, or take a vote to take another alteration.
But you have to have an amendment.
Could simply add something to number 18, as number 18 on letter D. So that the tub and plumbing fixtures, tubs have to be disconnected.
It's not enough for me.
Hmm?
Not enough for me.
No. Well, yeah, it's John's motion.
All right, you've heard the reasons for John. We'll take a vote, roll call vote. Sure.
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Herman,
Gonna vote no, because I'd like to see an amendment.
Mr. Benz.
No, yes.
Chairman votes no, but the motion passes 3-2. We'll take the last application tonight, Mr. Ryan Seats, Chicago, Illinois, address West 12299 County Road GG. Do we have a motion for the Hancock property?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance on the site's property.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Peterman seconds it. The reasons?
If I could, I apologize. I have Gerald Katzner. I sincerely apologize. This was sitting underneath my folder. Mr. Katzner and that wishes to, that registered in favor, but wishes not to speak. Is that correct? Okay, so I apologize. It's just, we do have
That's
a
for
register.
this current motion?
Yes,
We
for
apologize.
Ryan Seats and that registered to speak, or registered in favor, but wishes not to speak.
Enter it into the record, please.
Okay. And I apologize, Mr. Katzner.
And your neighbor? Okay. All right, we have a motion, we have a second, and the reasons would be, John.
An unnecessary hardship is present and the current code requirements would be unnecessarily burdensome and prevent the applicant from using the property for permitted use because very few alternatives exist. A minimal relaxation of the code is being granted. The circumstances are beyond the control of the applicant and are unique to the property and not the applicant. The lot predates zoning and the construction matches the lot and available area. The hardship, burdensome limitations, of setbacks is due to the unique physical features, or limitations of the property and not the circumstances of the applicant. As follows: very little or buildable area exists. The lot depth is very shallow and steep slopes exist. The variance will not harm the public interest or neighboring land uses and damage the intent of the zoning code because visibility is good at the driveway location. Traffic is light, depending on the day. The turnaround is proposed. And I'm going to.
I don't think
Actually, that
there's
should be,
there's no
that should be
turnaround.
stricken.
Yes. There's no room for a turnaround. This would make a bad situation better. Good vegetation exists or is proposed. The proposed use will not harm the public, zoning code, or neighboring land uses if conditions are followed. A literal enforcement of the zoning code would be unnecessarily burdensome. There is no testimony in opposition. Therefore, the request of the variance, if approved, the following conditions shall apply. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided at the public hearing. The first floor elevation, filling, and grading shall be done in accordance with the site plan and additional information provided at the public hearing. All other required setbacks be complied with. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary. All code requirements must be complied with. It is the responsibility of the builder and landowner to protect the neighboring lots, the lake, and road during construction. Standard erosion controls must be in place to construction starting. Any future construction cannot occur without first obtaining a variance. The time of building permit and land use permits, the applicant may wish to investigate designing an alternative parking arrangement for this parcel so as to minimize backing into the road to improve safety. And Mr. Seitz is aware of that and cooperative. The applicant will allow agents of Waushara County access to the property to ensure compliance with the terms of this decision, Waushara County codes, and state and federal laws. The landowner is responsible for maintaining good visibility at the driveway entrance, and the landowner is responsible for determining lot lines and required setbacks, which he has, and maximum building height is 35 feet.
Okay, did we lose him?
Nope, he's still there.
I'm here. Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Any discussion or take a vote? No discussion, we'll go a roll call vote. Larry Tim,
Yes.
George Peterman,
Yes.
John Shirt,
Yes.
John Vance.
Yes.
And the chairman votes yes, 5-0. Good luck building there.
Thank you. Much appreciated, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Yes.
Ryan.
You got any problems, just don't be afraid to call zoning.
I'll talk to Rick. Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay. Extension of variances,
We have none?
minor changes,
No other changes?
map interpretations.
Nope.
Next month's public hearings.
We have right now 2 variance requests. The one that came in from Mark Schmidt. Map numbers. Okay, yeah, so. Correct, and I was just gonna say, we're gonna pull that anyways, because Rick and I have to go meet with the McMyers. So,
We just have
Oh.
the appeal,
we have, that's it?
just the appeal.
Okay.
Okay,
No site visits?
no sites?
Nope.
Okay,
We may want to, as part of this appeal, is do an on-site just to see exactly what she's appealing.
Sounds good.
all right. The reports were given to us on Monday.
Correct.
Permit updates
Yep.
and everything.
No changes?
So that will conclude the activities here this evening.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn and I have a second from Larry Tim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Amy. Is this Amy's last night? Okay.
There will be.